I would have loved to have known that it's okay to be different. Frankly, I would have loved to have known that I was different. It's a very hard road as an entrepreneur to recognize that you do think differently, that you have a different path, a different energy, and a different view of the world than many of the people surrounding you. I would have loved to have known that's okay.
Hi, this is Alan Olson, and welcome to American Dreams. My guest today is Randi Brill. Randi, welcome to today's show.
Thank you, Alan. I'm glad to be here.
I am really glad to have you here also. I met you in Nashville at the CoachCon and had the most fascinating display. I just couldn't resist stopping and seeing everything that she did with design and branding, and we had a brief conversation. But in that time, I really felt I was speaking with a true entrepreneur. So, Randi, I gotta get the story. How did you get to where you are today? What inspired you to take this path that led you into this mode of helping do branding and design?
Well, Alan, I started coloring at 3. And what I learned early on is that, when you're a child, you wonder if you're really good in art or if you're good in art because your family hangs your pictures on the refrigerator and you feel rewarded for that. Turns out I was just good in art. And as a kid, the only pathway, frankly, for a girl was really grow up, get married, become an art teacher or volunteer. None of that worked for me. And my mother used to tell the story that at 14, her aunt, my great aunt, at a birthday party for her, made a beeline for me and my mother. And my mother's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And she said, young lady, what are you going to be when you grow up? And evidently, and I don't remember this, I just remember being irritated that I had to be there. Evidently, I said, I'm going to be in charge of something. Like, what a fool you are. Why would you even ask me? And the woman looked at my mother like, how could you raise such a child? And she looks so normal. Entrepreneurs don't become. In my world, entrepreneurs are. Some entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs who never act on that DNA. Others are acting on it at 3 years of age like I was. My dad didn't send his orders in. I picked up a crayon colored orders, put it in the prepaid envelope and wrote my first order. You're always selling, you're always telling. And in my world, we're defining and designing. That's who I am. And I think it's true of many entrepreneurs. I really do.
Your path you took in entrepreneurship combined with the art and moved into design packaging. Let's get into the design packaging. What exactly is that, and why do entrepreneurs need design packaging to help companies grow and flourish?
Well, what's really funny about design packaging is a lot of people will say, I don't know what the term means. And my answer is, well, of course you don't. I made it up. There was not a term. People understand what they think marketing is. Maybe it means funnels. Maybe it means lead generation. Branding. Oh, I have a logo. I don't need branding. I needed an encompassing way to define what entrepreneurs, not necessarily big corporate settings or not-for-profits, etc., but entrepreneurs need. Now, my process is very simple. We define, design, tell, and sell. Those are the 4 things that my creative framework is all about. Any project, any client, any opportunity has to go through those 4 steps. Even if what you're selling is a fundraising request, actually, most importantly, is a fundraising request. So design packaging, I needed a term that encompassed marketing, that encompassed branding, that encompassed identity, that encompassed having a golf outing, a big event. Every single solitary thing you do that reflects your business is design packaging. design packaging, I finally came to terms with a term people understand, which is design packaging is the visual narrator of what differentiates your business and how that works. And I have to say, people started understanding that because you know what sets your business apart. You got to figure out how to articulate only what your clients need. I mean, some entrepreneurs just want to talk, and tell it all and cover it all, and more is not better. A lot of design packaging is subtraction to distill it down to the essentials of what your clients truly, truly will value about what sets you apart. And that's it in a design packaging nutshell. Yeah.
Well, Randi, I'll have to say you are very unique in your approach to business and design packaging. In fact, I remember your booth, even though it's been several weeks, that the telephones, I thought, what are these telephones out here? Just call Randi and very unique, very, very unique. So let's move into books. In your display, you also had 3 books that you wrote
I did.
3 months.
Well, Alan, if 1 is good, 3 is better. In reality, though, I knew I had to capture and explain design packaging. That's what started it all. But because I knew that was a pain point. I knew entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs I work with at Just Call Randi, I knew they were struggling and stuck and they didn't quite know where to start. And I thought, I need to give them a compendium, not a lot of words, but a lot of visuals, a lot of Oh, that's design I thought that was just like golf tees. I had no idea that was part of my design packaging. Every single thing you do. So I felt like that was book 1. That was really what I had to do, but it ended up being book 3 because I went through my own process, defining, designing, telling, and selling, and saying, okay, I have to define where entrepreneurs are struggling. And I found 2 other places. One was our teams, because entrepreneurs, to grow and flourish as a business, I mean, look, if you want to be by yourself and be the only voice in the room and have your meetings in the bathtub, go for it. Be a solopreneur. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to have a team. You want to help that team to understand you. And if you bring people in who have come from other settings and have never worked with an entrepreneur, you have a responsibility to help those teams understand the entrepreneurial why. So I wrote 56-word secrets that make entrepreneurs tick and help, for teams that stick. I probably messed up my own title there, but the reality is 6 little words. If you master those 300 words, 50 secrets, 6 words each, and you understand why those messages are important to the entrepreneur and what you as a team can do about it, as an entrepreneur, you're helping your team discover without doing it the hard way. A lot of them are researchers. A lot of our team members fill in the gaps of what we as our own strengths don't have. And much of that is, I want to do my homework, or I want to do my homework for my boss. This book helps those teams do that. And that solved the team's pain point. The second pain point is every entrepreneur, I think, feels very isolated and alone in our journey. Every entrepreneurial journey is a custom process. I don't care how many business schools you go to. I don't care how many processes you read about. We each take our own path. We each go in our own direction and our own ways, and we hit our own walls, and we fall down, and we get up. And I think in some ways, we forget to look over our shoulder at what got us here. And that was book 2, which is Let Me Entretain You. Many entrepreneurs come to me and say, Randi, how do I write my story? You're a great storyteller, Randi. How do I tell my story? And I thought, well, I can't help them tell their story until I show them mine. How dare I not put myself out there? So every bad hairdo is in that book. I think I shared that book with you. And I mean, you see those photos. It's Randi, pure and simple. and, the good, the bad, and the ugly hair. But it also has a place in there for where a story about my mother banned us from business when I was 9 years old because I was selling signatures on my cast. I broke my arm and I charged money. I sold tickets. I gave my brother a penny, 20%. And, but I was doing the heavy cast lifting. But the reality, Alan, is when you look at your stories, it should trigger an entrepreneur to say, oh my gosh, that's just like the paper route I had at 5 a.m. I never remembered that. And in the back of each of the theme sections, there's a place for the entrepreneurs to capture their story. There's a process for how to self-publish your book, because sharing your themes as an entrepreneur is another pain point. So we have teams, we have themes, and of course, for book 3, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Design Packaging, we have dreams. And remember, as entrepreneurs, as a breed, frankly, we have very short attention spans. So I knew this could not be a book that was all over the map. And it wasn't one book. It was 3 different pathways. And I put them together for teams, themes, and dreams into a 3-book package. And because I'm Randi Brill, I could make a Brillogy. And that just entertained me it entertained me very much.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the gifts you have is also play on words with, as you emphasize important principles there, themes, teams, dreams. It gives a good visual to how entrepreneurs should be operating. And, I'd like to delve a little bit further into the power of 3. You talked about these 3 things in your books, the themes, the teams, the dreams.
3 months, right. 3 books, 3 months. Yeah.
What are the 3 things that you know now that you wish you would have known?
Oh my gosh.
Into your business?
Well, I think to begin, I would have loved to have known that it's okay to be different. Frankly, I would have loved to have known that I was different. It's a very hard road as an entrepreneur to recognize that you do think differently, that you have a different path, a different energy, and a different view of the world than many of the people surrounding you. I would have loved to have known that's okay. I would have loved to have known that facing challenges is part of being an entrepreneur. Look, I started at 25 years of age. I had $57. I could have lost my entire capital going to the supermarket. I had nothing, which was wonderful because I had a scrap. But on the other hand, when you start out with $57 and 8 months later you had invoiced $90,000, you feel like queen of the road. In reality, you hadn't even started the struggle. You hadn't started realizing that at all. And I would have loved to have known it was okay to listen to my inner voice. I did. I totally did. I did do that. But the reality was I was crowded by the outer voices, the outer shouts, the outer screams, the outer, oh my gosh, you're 20. Fine, do this till you get a real job. It's very undermining of your confidence when you are not smart enough to listen to the doubters, to learn from them, but then tune out the doubt and trust your gut. That's something that I think many entrepreneurs learn the very, very hard way. So that was another one. And I would have loved to have known that no matter how wonderful your team is, they are your team. No one is expected to, nor should they, be as passionate, driven, and protective of your company as you are. Because frankly, if they are that protective of yours, they should build theirs. You should help them build theirs. But as an entrepreneur, many of us are very great at our skill sets. We're not born leaders. We learn to lead the hard way. I don't care how many degrees you have, until somebody's sitting across from you and you're trying to figure out how to encourage them to build on their strengths and strategize their weaknesses. And, look, I flunked skipping in kindergarten, almost. And my mother went to the principal, and my mother said, I wonder, Miss McDonald, what would happen if we encouraged Randi to work on what she does well instead of forcing her to become a very mediocre skipper. And that's true. But we don't understand as entrepreneurs that we are supposed to care more for not just our business, not just what we're passionate about, but the people who have tied their hopes and dreams to our star. There's a big responsibility with that. People think we can be real in front of our families, in front of our teams. Those are the closest people to us. They deserve our best. That's something most entrepreneurs learn the hard way. So those would be my three.
Randi, who inspired you the most growing up?
My mother. Oh my God, she's been gone 10 years, Alan, and she's still inspiring me. I mean, I'll do something and I'll hear, really, Randi? Is that real? No, all right, fine. This woman who was too afraid to ever be an entrepreneur happened to raise two of us. My brother and I are both entrepreneurial. And she fostered in us an innate belief that we could do anything we wanted to. And you have to remember, I'm not a millennial, slightly not. But the key is when I was growing up, women couldn't be anything you set your mind to. I didn't know that. I never knew that. My mother used to say to me, whatever you want to do, you can. And, she was very wise. She knew when to speak, when not to speak. I took a course at Carnegie Mellon as a high school student, and it was drawing, and I hated it, Alan. I was awful. But I went because I needed a portfolio piece, and I needed to go, and I wanted a scholarship to CMU, and all these things. And it was Parents Visitors Day. And my mother says to the professor, oh, these children are so, so talented. And they're all wonderful. And he said, no, Randi's very good. And she said, oh, Mr. Royce, be serious. I've known my daughter all my life. That child is not nearly as good. He said, oh, Mrs. Brill, she's awful. But you got to know, every child in this room is going to end up working for her because she knows how to help them do their work. And Randi Brill has the voice. I never knew that. And my mother never told me till 6 years later when I was struggling with something in my business. And she said to me, why are you having a hard time with this? And she said, then she told me the story. And she said, now just go out there and hire good people and treat them well. She always inspired me. It's true to this day.
So we're back to the number 3. What 3 pieces of advice would you give to anyone who might be ready to be an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, I have to say that those words, ready to be an entrepreneur, I think you are one. You are one in your heart, in your soul, in your gut, in your mind. It doesn't mean you're acting on it. You could be in an enormous 12,000 person corporate setting. It doesn't make you not an entrepreneur. You're just not an active one. And the idea of readiness, the bottom line is if you're ready to be an entrepreneur, I don't need to give any advice because you already started. You already did it. However, there are a lot of entrepreneur wannabes. There are a lot of entrepreneurial dreamers where entrepreneurship is a wish, where it's a hope. And you know what? For many people, they don't need to take it any further than that. It comforts them in what they've chosen to do. Either their fears lead them, their responsibilities prohibit it. They don't feel they have a choice. That's okay. Your entrepreneurship will come out somewhere. You may have the most fantastic chili recipe and make homemade labels. That may be where it comes out. You may volunteer in a nonprofit setting and you run the entire rummage sale. That's entrepreneurship. It happens in a lot of different ways. There's no one way to be an entrepreneur. That's a piece of advice that I would give to people. I would also say entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart or the faint of mind or for people who need a lot of sleep, because it does keep you up at night. But in the traditional sense, if you're not sure that entrepreneurship is for you, look a little closer. You don't leave something you don't like to become an entrepreneur. You need to run to what you're passionate about, because if you are not passionate about what you choose as an entrepreneur, you will struggle and feel pain all the way through, because you won't be authentically doing what you should be doing. So that's the second piece. And the last piece I would say, Alan, is know your why and know it well. Because if you don't know your why and you can't say why you jump out of bed in the morning to do what you do, how are you going to inspire other people to follow you along? You know, I really believe that if you know your why, that becomes the most fabulous filter for what to say yes to and what to say no to. Because when you're an entrepreneur in the beginning, you think you need to do it all because you have to do it all at the start. You've got to differentiate, and you've got to understand that you need to recognize what you're running toward, what you're loving, why you're loving it, and why you're doing it. Because if you can't say why, no one else is going to help you figure out the who's in the house. That's my philosophy on it anyway.
So, Randi, one of the things that you've done creatively and creatively well is creation of educational products for kids and teachers, as well as running one of the country's top product development houses.
I did.
Why did you go down that path? I'm just curious here.
Well, I went down that path because, like anyone else in publishing, I fell into it. Look, I was a designer. I graduated from Pittsburgh. I was born and raised there, and I came to Chicago because it was in the middle of the country and I wouldn't fall off. My graduating class was going to New York, so I thought my portfolio would be different. The one place I interviewed ad agencies, I interviewed at design studios, and then I was desperate to get a job. I had school loans, I had a car payment, and I went and I saw this woman, and I said, she goes, "You're too green." I didn't know what green was, Alan, but I knew it was bad. And I said, "I will leave if you give me a name. Someone in this city is hiring." And she said, "Well, it's in the suburbs." I didn't know anything. I took the phone number, and I realized when I had the interview, I said, "Well, who does the creative design decision-making on these books?" And she said, "You do." And it was the lowest pay. It was the furthest thing. It was the most unglamorous. But I got to create products that helped kids learn and teachers teach. And when you think about it, that's one of the most powerful differentiators for us as a design packaging team at Just Call Randi. Because if we can create content, both visually and educationally, that does that deconstructs these complex things. Remember, we learn things based on what we already know. We apply our prior understanding, our prior knowledge. But when you're 4, you don't have a lot. So you have to get down to that level. But the same thing is true of our entrepreneurial clients. They may not even know they need us. Do you know, an entrepreneur sells a service, sells a value, sells a product, and they want to reach people who may not even know they have a need for it. So the ability to take that complex messaging and distill it down, that's how I've applied the educational process. However, getting into it, I grew a very big business, Alan. And instead of running that business, I was running after it. I had payroll, I had mortgage, I had everything. And think about education. A publisher comes to you and says, "I want you to do our early learning reading program." So you staff up for it, you get ready, you do your bids, you have everything. And then they come back and they say, "Well, you know, Texas isn't doing this, but I feel bad for you because I know I kind of promised it. So I'm going to give you high school calculus." Well, the people who were there to write those early learning programs can't possibly do calculus. It was very subject matter demanded. I mean, it was required. So as a result, you were forever chasing projects, taking projects. They were commoditizing. It was a mature industry trying to reinvent itself. And do you know Atlas Shrugged? Do you know the book Atlas Shrugged?
I have not read it, no.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was the Dagny Taggart of educational development. I was there. I was going to fix it all until I finally realized that I was the broken piece. And it took me 10 years to get back to what I loved. So that's how it impacts what we do. It's a big differentiator for us, Alan, but the key is it took me 3 decades of learning to distill that to being able to translate, because that's a lot of what entrepreneurs have to do is translate their strengths into the value they can provide. That's what I do.
So, Randi, last question here. A person wanting to sign up for your services, work with you, first, can you define your ideal client? Who would you like to work with? And second, what's the process to get started?
That part is very easy. You just go to Just Call Randi, or you just call Randi. You go to our website and there's a contact page and you just reach out to us and we'll take it from there. And we do go through this process. We do go through this understanding of what do you want to make? Where are you stuck? You know, you remember at CoachCon, I gave out big red envelopes that people could just put what they have. People think they have to start at the beginning with design packaging. It doesn't matter where you start. It just matters that you start. I have one client we're starting with by doing lens cleaners for glasses. That's design. That's where she can start. That's where we will start. But I guarantee you it will grow. And the other key is the ideal client is anyone who is really ready to add a value. I mean, we have our design packaging process, but we also have the crystallization process because a lot of people don't know what they need. So we learned that we have 2 ideal clients, those who are ready and those who want to be ready. But I do require that I work with the entrepreneur in charge. I'm happy to work with their team, but your vision is not something you can delegate when you're defining it.
Randi, it's been an absolute pleasure being with you today.
I love it.
So, and you have a website?
I do. I have 2. I mean, come on, Alan. If one is good, 2 is better. If you want to talk about design packaging, just go to justcallrandi.com. Go to the contact page. And if you want to explore any of these books, go to randylandpress.com. And you'll find the Brillogy and the books, and you can check right out.
All right, Randi. Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, Alan, I'll see you again soon. I can't wait to see this. And for any entrepreneur out there, don't be scared. Just get busy. You'll figure it out. Thanks, Alan.